Bruchim Aboyim, welcome to the סיום for the program Kadima לחינוך, in which the Yungalite and the Bacharim learned together for many weeks in preparation for going into the classroom to become Melamdim Mukhsharim. It's a tremendous joy for me to be here to see all the participants here at the finish line. And tonight, we're here celebrating you, celebrating your achievements. And I know that you've heard you had many workshops and hours of instruction. And yet tonight, there still needs to be Ein Beis HaMedrash B'loi Chidush. We always still need to learn something new. I want to say it's a tremendous chus for me to be part of this effort, to be involved in this program. The Ashgacha Prat is the venue that we're at, is where I started. I became a Rebbe many years ago. In Tafshin Nun Hey, I was a Rebbe here in Kita Vov for the year. And then the following year, Tafshin Nun Vov, I was the assistant principal. I can tell you that I went into all parts of Hinוך with my instincts, and I know that Baruch Hashem, I have this chus that my father and my grandfather and so on were all in Hinוך, but every day that passes, I appreciate more and more the lessons, the training, the guidance, and I see the peiros of what happens when we have a method, when we have an approach to all the situations that we deal with in life. Rabbi Shmuel Fogelman, who was at that time the principal of United Lubavitcher Yeshiva, took me under his wing to a degree, and there are certain things that I remember, of course, Ad Hayoim Hazeh, that he taught me and spoke about. I also had the zchus to spend many hours discussing Chinuch with Rabbi Dubinsky Sr. He offered me a job in a bungalow colony during the summer, and every day he would drive me from Gan Yisrael, Parksville, to the bungalow colony to Mountain, Reb Zalman, Mountain Crest, the Mountain Crest. And on the way, for an hour, we would talk. He would share with me different ideas about Chinuch, how valuable. Peschin Bidvar Malchus. I would like to ask Rabbi Simpson, who is instrumental in this program, Bechlal, and is always there as a guiding light for Mנחem Education Foundation, to begin by sharing with us a letter of the Rebbe.
Thank you, Rabbi Kaplan. In Chassidus, there is an expression, Noatz techilosan b'seifon, v'seifon b'tchilosan. I believe that when we got together the first time, I sort of opened up the program to some extent. I had the zchus of saying a few words. And now that we're coming to the conclusion of the program, I am also here, but this time I'm going to share with you the Rebbe's brachas and the Rebbe's heroes b'hanegiyat Chinuch. So this letter that Rabbi Kaplan sent to me and asked me to read is a short letter. This letter is addressed to Reb Zalman Daruri, a mechanech in Eretz Yisrael. The beginning of the letter, the Rebbe wishes him, the Rebbe gives him a bracha. He had a baby boy, so the Rebbe gives him a bracha that he should be megala, he should be megadol him, l'teira l'chuppah l'masim tovim, Meteich menuchas hanefesh and menuchas haguf. Then the Rebbe continues, and the Rebbe says, Yodua piskom kveit kedushas meidi v'chomi admor zeicher tzadik v'kodesh l'barach olachai yoelum haba shmasi begin ze meremim zchusi yogin oleinu al yisoid maimer azal shemidei sob shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu heim mido kineged mido shekol elo hamisaskim b'chinoch hakosher Harei HaKadosh Baruch Hu mishalim lahem mido kineged mido sheyigadlu heim es yaldeihem sheyichyu b'neir mitzvah v'teiro eir v'derech chayim b'gemer v'hiratzein sheyuchal levasreini b'suras teves mimilui b'roches elu leitim techufis. And then the Rebbe says, I'm including also a summary of the Fabrengen Mahnegeya to Chedesh Elul. This letter is dated Chav Daled Menachem O. So the Rebbe says I'm including also what was spoken about at the Fabrengen, and he finishes Me'ein HaPsicha HaChoisem Me'ein HaPsicha, a bracha, a mazel tov to him and to his wife for the birth of a child. This is the Rebbe's bracha. So this nekuda of midah keneged midah is mentioned over and over and over again, that this is the way the Eibishter interacts with Bnei Adam, Achlal, with Bnei Yisrael, with Eden, and especially B'Negeya to those who are involved in Chinuch. You know, we all always ask for Bona Chayum Zeina Revicha. We ask for children, we ask for good health, and we ask for Parnasa. And we find all of these three inyanim b'hanegeya to Torah that we teach the children. We find the inyan of Bana. The Gemara says, whoever teaches is ben chaverei Torah ki ilu yoldei. So you are doing an inyan of heilado ruchnis, shinantam levanecha elu hatalmidim. So whoever is involved in Chinuch and is giving Torah over to children has the schus of bonin. Chaya, Torah eitz chayim hi l'machazikim bo v'simchahu me'ushar. So if you share chayim with others, the Eibishter gives you and gives us chayim. And mezayna, which is the inyan of Torah, because Torah is v'seirascha b'seich meyoi. The Torah is mozayin l'chol echad v'yechad, sai mozayin gashmi and sai mozayin ruchni. So this idea of midah keneged midah is something for us always to keep in mind. I'm not sure if I shared this story with you when I spoke to you at the beginning of this program, but was a story of someone who came to his Rebbe and he was an asken. He opened up a moisid, he opened up a yeshiva, and Rebbe he became sick. And he came to his Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave him divrei idud v'chidud, and the Rebbe told him that there's a word from the Chasam Sofer on the pasuk, "V'hesircha Hashem l'teva b'fri vitnecha." You may remember it if I said it. "V'hesircha Hashem l'kecha l'teva b'fri vitnecha." And the Chasam Sofer says that if you're dealing with pri vitnecha, you're dealing with children, whether your own, you need to be megadol on mishpacha, or the children, the talmidim, is Vedzayin v'hesircha Hashem l'teva. You have nothing to worry about. And Cain Yokum, it is gesund geworden, he became healthy and well, and he was able to keep up with his good work. So I did work with some of you who were here in the yeshiva, and you spent time with the Rebbes. And I just wanted to give you a bracha that you should have a lot of success. Roll up your sleeves, hop onto the bandwagon. It's a beautiful journey. It has tremendous rewards. Kol hascholas koshes, that's what it says, and that's what happens. But medaf nishver nispol. Don't get discouraged from the hascholas koshes, because that applies to anything and everything, and especially when it comes to chinuch. Keep your eye on the ball, stay focused. And the Rebbe will give you the siyata d'shmaya and the koiches to be able to succeed. Mazel tov and a lot of hatzlacha u bracha. Soll sein a gesunde Zumer, lonu u l'chol Yisrael.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Simpson. Those incredible words of the Rebbe that V'yihi Rotzein Sheyuchal Vasreini Besuris Tevis Mimilu Broches Elu Leitim Tkufos, that we should be able to give the Rebbe, to share with the Rebbe the fruition of these brachas Leitim Tkufos frequently, and it should be nismale by each and every one of us. I'd like to begin by asking, so we Peschen B'dvar Malchus, and now as the Rebbe taught us that we should always open with a Dvar Torah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, every kinus, especially in this Shnas Hakel. So we'd like to ask one of the Messiahim, Rabbi Yeshua Resen, who is Baruch Hashem already with one foot in his shlichus, to first of all, we want to thank you for keeping everything together while being in the middle of the Tultula de Gavra, in the middle of a journey to go out, to move. And they should bench you, Meshana Mokim, Meshana Mazel, L'Teiva, V'Livracha, and to push it to be involved with Ala Koiches even in the last few minutes. So I'd like to ask Rabbi Yeshua to come up and share with us a Dvar Torah.
Good evening. A quick thought from the Parsha from the Rebbe. It says in Parshas Chukas, Zeis Chukas HaTorah, and the Rebbe says in the Sikh in Chelek Yud Ches, the Rebbe brings a medrash, where the Medrash mentions a number of mitzvahs which are chukim, and then Shlomo Melech says, Al kol eila amadati, I was able to be masik the understanding of the reasons of all these chukim, but one is recheka mimeni, and that's the mitzvah of paraduma. And the Rebbe asked the question, so why was paraduma such a unique mitzvah that Shlomo Melech in all of his wisdom was not able to grasp? And besides that, it's not like no one was able to grasp the mitzvah of paraduma, because we know that Moshe Rabbeinu himself was able to understand paraduma. As it says, so Moshe Rabbeinu was able to understand the mitzvah of paraduma. So why, if Moshe was able to understand it, why didn't he share that? Why wasn't anyone else able to benefit from that information also? So Rebbe says a beautiful answer about how Torah is not just knowledge, it's not just information, it's not just wisdom, even the Eibishter's Chochmeh, it's not just Chochmeh, but it's the Etzem of the Eibishter, it's something much deeper. And in order to illustrate that, the Eibishter made one mitzvah, the mitzvah of Paraduma, which is going to be L'maylam Yaseichol Hachaf from Tamadas, that we're not going to be able to understand, to show us that really every other mitzvah is also a Zeh. But the reason that we have to harden in Torah, we have to understand, and we have to learn, and we have to verstehen, is because the interface that we have to connect with the Eibishter is through the knowledge, through the Chochmah that he was able to reveal to us that we could understand. But really, as much as we're able to humanly comprehend, there's something which is much higher, something much deeper. But for a normal person, it could be that if without a mitzvah, which is higher than Tamadas, we might only be able to do the amount of Torah mitzvahs based on our understanding, our comprehension. And when we hit a place where we can't understand, it could be that at that point we're not going to have Kabbalah Selim and Nefesh, because everything is based on our own understanding. So therefore, the Eibishter put on one mitzvah, which is higher, to teach us that everything has to be with that underlying sense of the etzem, to touch the etzem of Torah. But Mashenkin and Moshe, when he was able to masik tam parah, is because Moshe Rabbeinu represents the darg of Chochmah Datzilis, which is the darg of Bittul, the highest darg of Bittul of Markoveh. And because Moshe Rabbeinu was in that level, so it wasn't a stira to the Bittul, it couldn't have taken away from his Bittul to the Eibishter that he was able to have asaga in this mitzvah. But ultimately, each one of us has to work to have the Nefesh and Kabbalah Seil in the mitzvahs that we do. But this is really the etzem, I think, also of Chinuch HaKosher, Chinuch HaTaras HaKodesh, that we're not only giving over to Talmidim just information and just wisdom and just knowledge, but actually we're giving them over, we're rimashish them Yerushalayim, we're giving them like a feel for something hecher, the etzem of Torah, and that's something which I have to give from der to der. It has to have a malamed, a machanech, to try to imbue that and to give that over. And this is also very connected with the good days of Gimel Tammuz that we're coming to, because Frida Rebbe was Meiser Nefesh for something which is L'mayla Tamadas, Hachaf Tamadas, Inyan HaChukah, which is even the smallest prat in Torah mitzvahs. Frida Rebbe whether Mesiras Nefesh for. And Mefrat for Chinuch and for Chinuch HaTaras HaKodesh and Chinuch HaKosher, the Frida Rebbe was willing to give his life for this because it's so important. And certainly by each one of us committing ourselves and being Meiser Nefesh and going the extra mile and going to be giving, totally devoted, totally given over, Ibegeben, to Chinuch, the way that the Frida Rebbe and all of the Beseinu Nesiyin were mechanechas, that how we're supposed to be given over to the cause of Chinuch, certainly this will be zeichen to learn from the ultimate mechanech, learn Torah Chadasha, Midei Teitzei, from Mashiach Tzidkenu, take it from Yad V'chaim.
Thank you, Rabbi Resson, Yesher Koyach. And Taka, I tell my Talmidim that if you try to write on certain surfaces, you can't use a regular pen or pencil. For example, if you're trying to write on a plastic soda bottle, so you need a Sharpie, you need a different, in other words, it's not that every surface can accept any writing instrument. So the Torah, the content of Torah is such that a person has to be a keli in order to absorb the Torah. Torah, besides the ideas, there's a Kedushas HaTorah, it's the Eibishter's word, it's a Heilig Gezach. And this is part of the Chukah, especially the Chukah, the Inyan of Chakika, that we don't only take in the Torah as an idea in our mind, but that it becomes engraved in our hearts. The heart is the Inyan of Pnimius. Like we say in Oz Yoshir, Belev Yom. We understand that the Yom doesn't have a heart, but Belev means in the Pnimius, so that the Torah becomes engraved in our Pnimius. I'd like to ask one of our graduates to speak on behalf of himself and on behalf of his Chaverim about this journey of Chinuch, taking on this journey of Chinuch. And so, without any further ado, I'd like to ask Rav Moshe Sperlin to come up and share with us a few words.
Rabbi Kaplan. So just a short while ago, I had no intentions, didn't think at all I would be going into Chinuch, definitely not teaching, and I did not think I'd be talking at any sort of Chinuch event. So what exactly changed? So many of us probably had the same question as young children, and starting from a very young age, maybe even 6, 7 years old, and probably stayed with them throughout, possibly Sifta, maybe even longer. Sometimes we would have certain teachers, and we would ask either ourselves or your friends, why is he teaching? Why is he a teacher? He doesn't get respected. It's not a good pay. It's a hard job, and so sometimes we'd give an answer like, oh, he learned in All Torah, so what else could he do besides for teaching in All Torah? I was saying maybe some people say the same thing about me, why I want to teach, I don't know, but when the Rebbe was a good Rebbe, that question didn't even begin. It was only something that would come up when it wasn't the way it should be. So that's how some of us may have felt as young children, and that has an impression, and maybe that's why a lot of us say, oh, we never want to be teachers. It's a tough job, and all the things that come together with it. So what exactly changed, and why am I here? So just a few years ago, when I was on shlichus in high school in Mesivta, and you're dealing there with bacharim, with teenagers, some of them younger, some of them a bit older, and you realize how thirsty and young bacharim are, even for just to have a connection with someone, whether it's dafke for ruchnius or even not, even more not about ruchnius. They just the thirst they have to have a connection with someone, and to have someone older they could look up to and learn from. And this is not necessarily people that are not frum. This is even within our communities, Lubavitcher kids, and we know the whole kacha in Chassidus, and how especially in their shvi, right, the whole kacha that Rebbe had in shlichus about we'll go to the other end of the world for another yid, and in our own communities, like, no, we're going to leave it to the ones that just because they can't go to the other end of the world because they're not capable. That's not what it's about, obviously, and whoever thinks like, oh, Chinuch is not like shlichus, I wasn't the Rebbe's idea, it's obviously making a mistake. So I just want to say how I saw myself, and I'm sure everyone here agrees, that the impact that we could have on unsere chevra by being good mechanchim and good mashpiyim, good people to look up to, and with that we'll definitely be able to accomplish the goal of doing the Rebbe shlichus and bringing Mashiach.
Shkoyach Moshe. And as we've discussed, that among teachers there are different skills, there are different eifanim, there are different ways that Rebbes present in the class. Some of them are there, they manage the class well, they have good discipline. Some of them are there and teach content well, they're teachers. And others are there to be mashpia, to have an effect on the Talmidim. And Moshe is definitely coming from this position of having this inyan of hashpah, of connection with the Talmidim, which is something that Talmidim are really thirsty for, especially the ages that you were mentioning as Talmidim get a little bit older. And I want to wish all of our Mesayimim that in their journey, starting out in the Kitta, for many of us, our initial thought, our initial worry, our initial focus is about classroom management. It's about creating the Mizgeres, and that's appropriate. You know, the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that the Reishis or Avodah is Yira. Yira limits, it gives us boundaries, it establishes. You know, like, Shabbos enters at an exact moment. You know, Lich Benchen is, if someone, Mitzad Ava, someone would say, no, 9:05, we're good friends, 9:06 is also good. But Mitzad Yira, we understand that there are boundaries, and that's what happens in the classroom, that's the Yesoid. And then, in Mirz Hashem, we continue on to the Hatzlacha and learning, and then to the Hashpah that goes beyond. We have the schus to have with us tonight a younger man who dedicated his life to Chinuch, and I remember his Shneis Habachrus some time ago. I had the schus to be one of the Rebbes on his journey, and really his contribution to Chinuch here in the Kehillah is that Kita Ches has been reshaped to be a mechina, to be viewed differently as a true stepping stone into Mesivta. There are many toyelis and many benefits in having things set up this way. And I had the zchus to work under his father, Alav Shalom, for quite a number of years, and he was very influential in my first years in Chinuch. So we've asked Rabbi Chaim Yisrael Wilhelm to speak to the Mesayimim and to the families on this chus that is at hand. Without any further ado, Rabbi Wilhelm.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Kaplan. Thank you very much, Rabbi Schneer, and the Kol Mishtatim, Rabbi Simpson, and all of the Mishtatim, and beautiful gathering tonight in honor of the Messiahim of the course of Chinuch. I'll begin by saying good evening. I read an article my father spoke about Mנחem, and he said something about a teacher has to have a milsa de bdichas in the beginning, and then afterwards he can start the class. And he was speaking about, does it always have to be a milsa de bdichas, like a joke? Because the purpose is the fakech daitoi, the sameach liboy, and then he's going to open up. So he said when the mechanech goes into the classroom and he says good morning, each individual, good morning. So he says, and he was explaining, he was writing, he says, that's the milsa b'dichas as well. In other words, that's the fakech daitoi v'sameach liboy. That's giving a connection, a relationship to get started your day. As mekum d'rayim be'ema v'fachet, you're coming in, all of a sudden, like, there's no good morning, and the Rebbe is getting to start. So I'm sure, I'm not here to give all the courses, but I'm sure you went through it, and you spoke to it, you saw it, and Baruch Hashem. So I start by saying the milsa b'dichas. Good evening. We gathered together in honor of Yud Beis Tammuz, the Frierdiker Rebbe had Mesiras Nefesh for Mechanchim. And I think the group that's here, over here knows the challenge, or at least you hear about the challenge, Mesiras Nefesh. Okay, take it literal as it is. Or as the trademark is, make Chinuch your shlichus. So, Mesiras Nefesh. And the night is Yud Beis Tammuz, and it's a Frierdiker Rebbe's that night, or tomorrow night. And we're going to be celebrating this Nikud of Mesiras Nefesh for Chinuch Tenei Kasher Beis Rabban. I remember when at one of my positions, I wasn't ready to take a different position in Chinuch, that is. And I remember I went to the oil when they were offering something else, whatever it was. First I was in Mashpia, then I was in England, then I was in Manal. And I went to the oil. On the way back, I remember listening, and I was able to follow on the radio Mashiach. And the radio Mashiach, I don't remember who was speaking, but someone was saying a story that the Frierdiker Rebbe, and I'll say it in honor of Yud Beis Tammuz, and the Mechanchim here, and the Frierdiker Rebbe was by a Fabrengen, and he saw the Chassid, if I'm correct, was Yitzhak Masmid, and he said he wanted him to be involved in Tashbar. Tashbar means Tenei Kasher Beis Rabban, be involved in Chinuch teaching. And he said to them, he said by the Fabrengen, he says, if you're going to go in Tashbar bistu meine, and anisht, I might be mixing the name, but if anisht, bis take itche, take chassid, aber he said, he didn't finish, aber nicht meine, in other words, if you're involved in Tashbar, bistu meine. So to be the Rebbe as a chassid, and today's day to know that a teaching position, a chinuch position, is not easy. You know, like Moshe mentioned earlier, and it's not going to be lots of covet. You're not going to get a lot of, the salary is not too great yet. But you know, this b'stemaina, this chus. So, Taire Mechanchim, I'm going to call you all Mechanchim. No, the challenge is great, and it's going to be, with those challenges, know the specialty, b'stemaina. This past week, I was learning in the Dvar Malchus. I was learning the Sikha for the first time. I read it under this Chumash Rashi, and sometimes there's little Sikhas over there. And it says over there by Miriam, in this Chus of Miriam, there was a Be'er Shomayim, the water was going through the midbirth for 40 years. And it says that when she passed, when she was nifter, nistalik, it stopped. Says Rashi, from here you know that Kol Mem Shana was all in her schus. From here you know that Kol Mem Shana, because it stopped when she passed away. Says the Rebbe on the Sikha right under, that throughout her lifetime, nobody knew that it was because of her. Nobody knew that it's because of her. When she passed, and all of a sudden, nostalgic, and all of a sudden the vases of the water goes away, oh, it was because of Miriam. So the Rebbe says, sometimes you don't see paytas, b'chaya. You don't see paytas. You don't see the fruits of your labor sometimes. No one gave thank you to Miriam, that in her schus there was the Be'er Shel Miriam. It's a zchus to see peiros in your lifetime. It's a zchus to see peiros that your talmidim are going to go in your ways in Mitzvah Hashem that you're going to teach. But it's challenging, and most times, and many times, you want to see peiros. You want to see the fruits of your labor. That gives you that gang, that gives you the geschmack, that gives you the push. Say, if I'll get invited, I see what my talmidim are going. And many times you're going to get it, you're going to see it. Maybe not from all. I hope Mitzvah Hashem from all. But I'm only mentioning this Nakoda just because I learned this in Rashi, this parsha, to see that sometimes you're not going to see all your peiros, but it's going to come. A few years after, I taught many classes, and one year, I guess, after WhatsApp became WhatsApp, and all of a sudden I was invited to a group. It was said the craziest Talmidim was a group. And it was very exciting to be part of my Talmidim, and they, till today, they continue that, one of the groups of the Talmidim, and we stay connected. And I could go back a little bit and say, it was the hardest group of Talmidim. And that's why they gave themselves their name. And I was under my father, Olav Shalom, at the time, and it wasn't easy. I'll tell you, Mechanchim that are here right now, not every class is a piece of cake. Not every class is good. Not every group of Talmidim is going to be your Mitzuyanim, or whatever you want to say. And there'll be some days that you're going to try very hard, all different kinds of patents, this thing, that thing, you make a raffle, this thing, you're going to make a mitzvah, trip, a Shabbat, whatever you're going to do. Every single Talmud, whichever level you guys are going to be. I remember something, I remember coming there, now I'll talk to the Mechanchim that are here. My first day in yeshiva, I came to the yeshiva, I was in Shir Beis, and I see all the other Melamdim, maybe double my age. Rabbi Tenem Olav Shalom, mentioning his name, and he gave me a bruch maboim. Coming joining us this year. I felt, okay, someone's acknowledging me. And I till today, I remember there was one mechanech, Zal sein gesucht stark, Rabbi Tversky, that he would come over to me midday, I would always say almost midday yoyim, but once or twice a week. Chaim Srol nu was tutzich, how's it going? How's your class today? What are the challenges today? What's going? What's easy? What went wrong? He says to me, you want to use a mafoidish that's going to help you for this toisvis? Explain this. He gave me this. There's a good sefer to buy that's going to help you to prepare the shir. And I was a little like, I'm the new one to the block. You know, when you're new for the block, you think that everyone's looking at you like, was bist du? Who are you? You're not going to be able to make any change or difference or whatever. So I could say it's chatoy and imaska. I feel like I didn't go out of my kalim a little bit the first few years. I felt like I'm the young one, I'm the new one. I can't compare myself to any of the machanachim of the previous, of all the talmidim. But I could say something to the talmidim. The challenge is great, but be in touch with your peers. Be in touch. There's going to be, in every level you're going to be, there's always going to be other machanachim. I think usually you'll be, I don't know where everyone's going, but everyone's going to have other machanachim in the group. And everyone with their little niche and their little zach, with the challenge and with the hardship and with the Mesiras Nefesh that we're going through in the times, like we're saying, you're going to have little spots of light. People are there to help you and to greet you and to be able to be a help. Example would be, for example, you're deciding a different or a certain curriculum or a certain class that you don't have. You could search up. There is people that are there to help. Shailas the Chazar, for example. And of course, I'll plug in. My father Shalom made questions whenever he had a new group of Talmidim or a new Masechta, he was always making Shailas Chazara. And Rabbi Kaplan mentioned, and of course, thank you, Rabbi Kaplan, for being part of my journey. Shailas the Chazara, I'm sure there's all types that Mechanchim can have, and I'm sure together with all the organizations of Chinoch, to be able to find, if you're learning, teaching Halacha or Gemara, all the types, or Chumash, V'chulo, and Mishnayos, and everything else in between. So one time, I'll connect this to, there's a question that is asked. This is a question that I heard this from my father. Why is it that we don't say, when you go to class, listen to me, you go into the class, you should say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvos tzivona al mitzvos chinuch. You should make a bracha every morning. You make a bracha, l'aniach tefillin, l'satif b'tzitzis. You make a bracha on the mitzvahs that you do. So why is it not mitzvah shinat levanecha, mitzvah asid da'iraisa bonim elatalmidim? Why do you make a bracha? And it's connected to the Rashba, the famous Rashba. The Rashba writes that anything that's told you, why don't you make a bracha on kibud av ve'em? You make a coffee for your father. Right before you give it to your father, you make a coffee. You should say, Al mitzvahs kiva davei. And the Rashba says, you can't make a bracha. Because you're not sure if he likes that coffee. It's totally b'das acherim. It's pending on someone else. And maybe he's not going to like it the way you made it. It doesn't say coffee, whatever it is. And the same thing goes in the mitzvah tzedakah. A poor man's waiting outside. He says, can you give him to mitzvah asik? To give tzedakah. You can't make a bracha because it's totally b'das acherim. And I connect it to Chinוך. Or B'Shem Aimri, my father. Why can't we say that when you go into class, and this is something for all of us, when you go into class, you should say, make a bracha, your Chinוך and your class that you prepared last night is the best. You prepared 10, top. Mitzuyan preparation. But you don't know if the Talmidim are getting it. And you're not going to know until they got it. You can't make a bracha. Until they accepted it, until they received it, until they got it and it's inside. And until then, we can make a bracha. Al derech the kibbutz of Eimer, or tzedakah, or anything like that. So, have that in mind. In other words, together with the challenge, and together with knowing that you could prepare. And here, of course, all the, as we mentioned earlier, content, and together with discipline, and everything in between, but al pi darkei, every single Talmud is going to be in his own world. And as I mentioned earlier, it's at the Pedis that you may not see Pedis, but maybe there's some Talmudim that you're not going to see Pedis right away. Puk today, a Talmud of mine reaches out to me and he says, I'm not accepted into the Beis Medrash. He wants to go to a certain Beis Medrash. He's not accepted, please help me. I didn't speak to him in 3 years, maybe 6 years. And they're going to reach out because when obviously they need something, if you could be of help, and you know, and there's a certain yachas that they look and they, you know, and at the very same time, it could be that maybe I was able to be his mechanech in order to help him whenever he's going to be. Maybe that year wasn't easier for him, but he needs the help. So this is something that I like to mention. And while mentioning earlier about shlichus, and this is our shlichus, this is the Mesiras Nefesh, there's a sign that hangs by the Chasana Hall, I think by the lunchroom in the Old Torah, which is what the Rebbe said on the first Erev Yom Kippur, Tafshin Yud Beis. I say first meaning, but the Rebbe gave a bracha for the Bachar. The first time the Rebbe gave a bracha with the Bachar, I think was not Yud Aleph, Erev Yom Kippur was Yud Beis. And the Rebbe put his talis over the head, and the Rebbe said, "You're learning in Rebbe's yeshiva, seid ihr doch dem Rebbe's Kinder." You're learning in the Rebbe's yeshiva, so you're the Rebbe's children. And it happens to be that statement takes me throughout the years of Chinוך as a guidance, because the Rebbe's Kinder, seid ihr doch dem Rebbe's Kinder. And of course, there's possibilities of many people to go on shlichus, and if they could they'd be able to go on shlichus, they get a chance to go on shlichus. But the specialty of the Rebbe's Kinder, the Rebbe is caring about the whole world, and then there's the Rebbe's Kinder. So if the Rebbe's Kinder, these are you have them, they are in your yeshiva, and you have that opportunity to be able to give them Chinוך al Taharas HaKodesh, and give them Zayt der Doch dem Rebbe's Kinder. You could be mechanech the Rebbe's children. I finish with a bracha for all the mechanchim here, and I say, together with the challenge, don't forget to reach out for help. As Zavi, there's a beautiful program that Kadima, Lachinach, and Rabbi Kaplan and Rabbi Shneir and everyone else that reached out to make it, and many of your peers throughout the past couple of months went through to be able to give you support. It's something that myself and I'm sure everyone, you need the support, you need the chinuch, you need the chizuk, and just when you get a little dry, don't forget to learn Chassidus, because when you learn Chassidus, this is something, as we mentioned earlier. Rabbi Reisen was speaking earlier. He was speaking about the nekuda of giving over Yiras Shamayim. And when you learn Chassidus, so then you'll have lachluchas, and you have lachluchas, you're going to come into the yeshiva, you're going to have chayas, and the bachim gravitate to it. So and know that the future of the Bavitcher Bachim in your hands. And this chus is great, and the chayas is great, and hatzlocha, rabba, muflog, and gula, mitzvah shlema, a good yom tov. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Wilhelm. The Eibishter Zahalfen, you should be matzliach with your Talmidim, and thank you for your message. To all of us, as our Haschalas Kashas begin the first year, I think when I went into Xinוך, Rabbi Heller told me that Ascholos Koshes in this field lasts for 1 year. So surround yourself with the people who will encourage you and with people who will share with you those inyani idud, the encouragement, and also place in your path every day things that you can take away at the end of the day and say, that was great. Focusing on individual Talmidim and achievements with individual Talmidim. Everything that you see here is driven by the vision of Rabbi Schneier. I want to thank Rav Zalman for giving me this chance to be involved. Your commitment to excellence and continuous drive to really provide the highest quality is inspirational, and you follow through till the end. I mean, here we are. It's quite incredible. So without any further ado, Rabbi Schneier.
Thank you, Rabbi Kaplan. A big zchus for me to be here tonight, surrounded by such amazing, wonderful, dedicated, if I may say, mechanchim. And it's been an incredible journey, this program, Kadima לחינוך. And it happened because of some incredible individuals. But of course, we all know as Chassidim that we are here because of the koiches and the brachos from the Rebbe. And I want to echo the words that were said before, that each and every one of us should have the siyata d'shmaya and have the zchus to be memala, the shlichus of our Rebbe in every aspect. I want to take a moment and thank Rabbi Kaplan for leading this program. When I asked Rabbi Kaplan to be involved in Kadima לחינוך, at that point, we weren't sure exactly what the job description was, but from A to Z, he took it all on, and Kenai Nahara, Yashikoyach. Also, I want to acknowledge Zalman Friedman and all of his. I want to mention all the mentors and all the trainers. And I want to say just a very important aspect of this program is that I can confidently say that every single mentor, every single trainer, every class was given by a Lubavitcher Mechanech that is currently or was teaching very recently. That means to say that in our community, in Lubavitch, we are very rich. We are rich with talent, we are rich with amazing people, and we don't need to go outside of ourselves for our own development. And for me, this is a very big achievement. I also want to take a moment and thank Rabbi Simpson for his involvement and contribution. It's not just this year, but it's been a journey together from the very beginning, from when we started the Mנחem Foundation. Rabbi Simpson has been involved and continues to be involved. And it really was, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, it's really been my I guess, the dream, but I really wanted to gift Rabbi Simpson tonight a gift. And I reached out to his family, and I asked, what can I give Rabbi Simpson? And the silence at the other end of the phone, and thinks. No. I said, okay, fine. I'll get, speak to your family and I'll get back to me. So I call him back 3 days later, and this Bizal Lashon. He says, my father is a sameach bechelkoi. He has what he needs. There is nothing that we can think of what he would want. And I think to myself, I'm a chanech. What a bracha that is, that he has whatever he needs. I was amazed. And it's a real, I guess that's the biggest bracha. But Rabbi Simpson, I've thought of something. And Beinenu, I know what it is. But not for me. We have to pray. You know, looking around the room, looking at the dedicated, we call them trainees, now mechanchim, I feel that our future is bright. You know, we started this program because part of our work at the Mנחem Foundation is we do teacher placement. And it's one of the hardest jobs. It used to be from Adar. Then it started to be from Shvat. And now it's already in Kislev. People are calling day in, day out, I need teachers. And the stream, the pipeline of teachers is not as wide as it should be. So we took upon ourselves that we are going to train. I'm saying this in public. By Yud Beis Tammuz, Tov Shin Pei Zayin, in 4 years from now, we will be training 125 mechanchim to go out in the field of Chinoch, to fill our classrooms, to ensure that our children, our community, that means our schools, can have the best that Lubavitch has to offer in front of their classroom. And today, we are taking the first step in this direction by graduating a group of 20 mechanchim. This is the down payment of our goal of 125 mechanchim and mechanchos. We're not going to leave out the women. We have big plans for the women of Bezrat Hashem that we will speak about in the future. But for now, this is for the men, mechanchim. That this is the beginning to ensure that every single child in our community can have the Chinoch that they deserve and the Chinoch that they need. And I'm honored because this program was partnered together with the local moistis. We worked hand in hand with Rabbi Simpson of Lubavitch Yeshiva, with Rabbi Lustig and Rabbi Blau and Rabbi Shimshoni and Rabbi Evers and Rabbi Sperlin, and Rabbi Wilhelm, all the principals in Old Torah. We also work with Rabbi Menachem and Rabbi Veil and Rabbi Ben Zion and Rabbi Mirazov. This is a partnership between our local moistis and our community in order to ensure that our children can have the best that they deserve. So, I'm grateful to be here, and I want to thank everybody for coming. I also want to thank my dear friend Chaim Kamenker, who's a true trailblazer in the field of Chinoch. And also, once I'm here, to thank the Board of Directors of the Mנחem Foundation, together with Mr. Alan Zackelman, our chairman, for the financial support for this program. And everyone else who is, who donates generously to our charity campaign. This is the result. We can afford this program to give stipends to Young Light, to go into Chinoch, only because of your contribution. So this is your dollars at work, as they say. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Rabbi Kaplan back here and to give out the certificates of the program.
We'd like to ask those of you who are here with mishpacha, you could come up for a picture. And And also, if you would like to say just a word of thanks, etc., we'll make that available to you. I will say that in the workshops, I was impressed again and again at how involved all the participants were in sharing reflections and what they took from and how they absorbed the information, etc. So really fantastic. It was very enjoyable to watch when others were giving the classes and when I was there, when I had the opportunity to learn with them. Really special. So we're going to begin. I'd like to call up Hatamim Uziel. Uziel, please come up.
I'd like to say thank you to Rabbi Kaplan, Rabbi Schneier, Rabbi Simpson, Rabbi Friedman, and all the fellow trainees. And yeah, it was a nice journey, and Yeshua Koyach.
Thank you very much. Mendel Sarich. Mendel Mashkin.
To everyone who was involved in this great project. It's great to be able to come in with a sense of enthusiasm and leave with a sense of enthusiasm with feeling more capable.
I'd like to share with everyone the first time I left, by the way, thank you very much, Rabbi Schneer. I joined towards the beginning, but I was let in as the door was closing, so thank you very much, Rabbi Schneer. When I left the first course, I remember the feeling that I had. A lot of times you don't remember exactly what was said, remember the feeling you got. I remember the feeling that I had when I left the first course was like, wow, that was the first time like I feel good about learning something new. I feel educated. So I guess to be an educator, you have to get educated. So I definitely feel very educated. Thank you, Rabbi Schneer. Thank you, Rabbi Leivik, for very eloquent. Thank you, Rabbi Friedman, Zalman Friedman. Thank you for all your, I don't have WhatsApp, so thank you for all your texts. Thank you very much for putting this program together. Beautiful.
Mendel Lifshitz. Not here. He's not here. He's in Ukraine. Remote. Moshe Kornfeld. Moshe.
I'd like to take this time to give a quick hakar satayit to Rabbi Schneer, Rabbi Kaplan, for making this program possible. There were definitely a lot of tools and skills in Hinokh that are needed to experience with people that have the experience and to experience it in a live classroom. And thank you for giving us this opportunity. And shkayach.
David Costello. David.
Big yashikayach to everyone who made this course possible, particularly all the lecturers, to all my chaverim in the course. One note that I think bears mentioning that I felt in this course was the ideals that we were being taught, how to really make the most of the time teaching, how to make teaching as effective as possible, was also carried out by the lecturers of our course, and I really felt that the course was given in a way that was both enjoyable and very engaging and practical, and that will, Mitzvah Shem, translate to the class for all of us.
David, I'm looking forward to a jigsaw activity in your classroom, Mitzvah Shem. Mendel Grossman.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the wonderful people who made this entire program possible. It's, my father's been a Xinich for many years, so I guess I had my eyes set on it. But he was around, he said when he first got into Xinich, he gave a terrible model lesson. But that wasn't what they were looking for back then. Back then, you were a Chassidish guy, you came with a good attitude, you were excited about the Rebbe, you got the job. not that that's certainly still the name of the game, but since then, many years have passed, and we've made major strides and major developments and major improvements in so many skills along the way. And throughout the program, I discussed with him, various things that he learned along the way, and comparing them, that you always see, no matter how much you know or how much you've done, the more, the better the skills. It doesn't take away, it only adds to know how to do even better and better. Even Lamdim, we're doing for years, you can always learn better. So especially now that each and every one of us is able to, before we even start in the door, have so much going for us, thanks to this wonderful program, to have an entire layout. Obviously it's not going to be easy starting off, but we know what the course is. We have the course set for us. That's an amazing, amazing advantage we have. So thank you very much.
ברשות הרבנים אני אגיד כמה מילים בעברית, אני מקווה שכמה מכם יבינו מה שאני אגיד. תודה רבה לכל אחד שהיה מעורב בכל הדברים. בהתחלה התקשרו אליי פעם ראשונה, אני אמרתי אין לי זמן, אני בכולל, too busy, וכמה אני אקבל מזה, כמה אני אלמד, אבל ברוך השם עשיתי את הפוש, נכנסתי לקורס וברוך השם קיבלתי הרבה מידע. אני מרגיש תמיד חשבתי שלכולנו יש הרבה ניסיון בחינוך, בקמפים, ללמד ילדים. פתאום בקורס אתה מקבל ידע שפותח לך את הראש, כמה דברים שאתה מתחיל להבין יותר טוב, אז ממש תודה רבה, בעזרת השם נשתמש את זה, נשליך את הרב. תודה רבה.
שמואל לוי.
My interest in Chinuch actually started when I was about 10 years old. And I told people around me that that's what I wanted to do. And everyone told me, you're a shmendrik. You're never going to get there. Anyhow, I pushed and I got a job as a para a few years ago. And I was able to mishpia onto that Talmud, and I taught him. And there was a lot of tzlacha. However, I realized through this course, through the tremendous amount of information that I got, there's no words to describe it actually, that I got so much that had I been able to do that Talmud would have gotten 20 times better what I gave him. So, thank you. Thank you, Yashakaya. Thank you very much. And and
now, also for our Shliach Tzibur, hopefully we could ask you to help us with Ma'ariv as well. Rav Yitzchok.
Rabbi Schneer and Rabbi Kaplan and Rabbi Friedman. Even though I was involved in Chinuch for the past 2 years, I wasn't as a teacher, but I definitely received a lot in this course. So again, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll lead the kids to the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema all together.
Hemshech to receiving the diploma.
So obviously, amazing thank you to the energetic Rabbi Schneer and Rabbi Kaplan for all your articulate stories. I just want to give a shout out to Rabbi Friedman. We were talking about one of the qualities of a teacher is always being there, before and setting the tone, being in the classroom first and greeting everyone with a smile. So I want to thank Rabbi Friedman for doing exactly that by every single class, day in, day out. Going always buying geschmacka for bison and drinks, whatever it is. Also had the pleasure of being an assistant together in Darf Mנחem. So thank you very much, and Hatzlacha Rabbatal.
So there are many thank yous, and there are many people who are involved, who were involved in every aspect of this program, from the office staff, Mrs. Talashevsky and Ms. Varon, from the Rebbes, all the Rebbes, the principals, as Rabbi Schneer mentioned, the participants, as you supported each other, all the presenters. One of our studies, Rabbi Fenton, who's utilizing the summer months to refresh Begashmias and Veruchnias already. I want to give a tremendous yesher koyach to all the Rebbes for opening up their classrooms. It's with everything that happens every day in the class, we don't look for additional oversight. We're not looking for additional something to worry about on top of everything else. We don't know who's coming in, what kind of dugma chaya there'll be for the Talmidim, etc. But you opened up your classrooms. It's a tremendous benefit to our Talmidim, tremendous benefit to the trainees, and I hope in Mirz Hashem that in the future we will be able to reach out to you again, and perhaps with more of a misgeres, with a tighter framework, to help benefit the mentors and the mentees in Mirz Hashem and the Ikr, the Talmidim. Rabbi Isai, we have the schus that Rabbi Osher Farkash, all the way from Argentina, is here to Fabrein with us. Baruch Hashem, everything is b'ashgacha pratis. It's hard to explain how his name came up, and the Ashgacha Pratis, that just for a few hours he's here in New York, and that he's dedicating that short time to Fabrein with us. So now we're going to daven Ma'ariv, and then after Ma'ariv we're going to move over to right behind the Mechitza here, the Fabrein. And I want to thank everyone for participating. I want to recognize and thank the Ezras Noshim, the women who are supporting their husbands in this journey. With raising children at home in Mirz Hashem, presently the taf, and as they grow up, so we know that every child needs a sima slave, and then when your husband comes home and he's talking about someone else's kids and the challenges in the classroom, no. So the Eibishter should help that with your continued support, they will be more matzliach in Mirz Hashem. And as we find that Tvunas Noshim Bansa Beisa, so it also gives the stability of the home, gives the Malamed the stability in the classroom to be matzliach in greater measure. So thank you very much for coming and supporting. Yesher koyach everyone. Und soll sein a richtige Chaga Geula Like the Rebbe says, for every single Yid, Asher B'Shem Yisrael Yechuna, and of course for Chassidim. Shkoyach.
You could do live stream. Watching now. Keep it on, but